Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of our colors.
Thank you, God. Present all.
Ready? Ball. Right face. Prepare to pose. Colors. Pose.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Left face. At half step. Forward. March. Foul left. March.
Please be seated. As you all should know, Sunday is Veterans Day, formerly known as Armistice Day. But many of you may not know that staff of Crystal City School District has a few veterans. Ron Swafford, United States Navy. Mike Doherty, United States Navy. Chuck Rex, United States Army. Floyd Henderson, United States Air Force. Bob Bartolone, United States Air Force Academy, United States Air Force retired. Mrs. Harmon's son and a 2012 Crystal City High School graduate, Jonah Tucker, United States Naval Academy. For those veterans in attendance and those that I may not have mentioned, the Crystal City Public School District thanks you for your service. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to Mark Sheldon of the Missouri Department of Transportation.
Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us today to celebrate Sergeant Brandon Wallace, a hero who gave his life for our country. My name is Mark Sheldon, and I'm a district engineer with the Missouri Department of Transportation, and I am thrilled, humbled, and honored when I have the opportunity to take part in these programs, and especially the Heroes Way program. When there's one anywhere near my area, I make it a point and I clear my calendar and I make sure that I'm there, because this is too important to miss. But truly, and I'm thankful that I get to participate, but really it's the families, the friends, and the legislators who are the driving force behind all of the memorial signing programs. The Heroes Way Interstate Interchange Program was legislation that was passed in 2009, and it allows interchanges on Missouri's highways to be designated for Missouri residents who were in the armed forces and were killed in action on or after September 11, 2001 in either Afghanistan or Iraq. And I think that is truly a special way to give honor to those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And again, I am humbled when I hear the stories about these brave men and women who went halfway around the world and gave their life to defend our freedoms. Sergeant Wallace's signs will be erected at interchange exit number 175 on I-55 that will name the interchange the Sergeant Brandon L. Wallace Heroes Way Memorial Interchange. We currently have one of the signs up, and the other one is here, and it will be unveiled, and there'll be a time for photographs to be taking place, and before the sun sets, that sign will be up on the interstate for all to see. Before we get to today's speakers, I'd like to recognize a very special individual, Miss Robin Wallace. I understand that you have played an intricate role in pulling together and making this ceremony happen. And yes, we're here to recognize Brandon's sacrifice for this country. And we also recognize, though many of us will never fully appreciate, the sacrifice that you and your family have made, Ms. Wallace. And I'd like, if you would, to please stand and be recognized. And I also want to take just a moment to recognize Sergeant Wallace's father, Rick Wallace. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers for today's celebration. And first we have representing the Honorable United States Senator Claire McCaskill, Mr. Brandon Fahey.
On behalf of Senator McCaskill, I would like to say thank you for the invitation to be part of this dedication. Senator McCaskill wishes she could be here in person and sends her best to Sergeant Brandon Wallace's family and friends and the Crystal City, Jefferson County community. It is important for us as a nation to take time to thank and pay proper respects to heroes like Sergeant Wallace, who have sacrificed so much to protect our freedoms. A few of the many awards that Sergeant Wallace earned for his service to our country were the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and the Army Commendation Medal. But these awards only tell a part of the story. Brandon is remembered as a loving family member, devoted friend, and talented student to so many in his hometown of Crystal City. Today's dedication will remind all who pass I-55 interchange of what his friends and family already knew, that Brandon was a patriot willing to fight for the country he loved so much. I want to thank the state of Missouri for passing this legislation to dedicate this interchange in the name of Sergeant Wallace's honor. MoDOT and for MoDOT for implementing the Heroes Way program that allows us to pay tribute to Missouri's fallen heroes of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Most importantly, I want to thank Sergeant Wallace's family for allowing the state of Missouri to honor Brandon in this way. Their willingness to participate in the Heroes Way program means that millions who travel here will learn of the high example Sergeant Wallace has set in honor, patriotism, and sacrifice. The dedication of this interchange will help us keep our promise to never forget what Sergeant Wallace and his fellow men and women in uniform have done for our country.
Right.
Thank you, Brandon. Our next speaker, representing the Honorable United States Senator Roy Blunt, is Miss Mary Beth Wolf.
Thank you for letting me be a part of this today, and the Senator regrets that he cannot be with you here today. But I do have a letter that he sent me to read on his behalf. Dear family and friends of Sergeant Brandon Wallace, the men and women in the United States military, like Sergeant Brandon Wallace, are the finest examples of what makes our nation great. They demonstrate to allies and adversaries a commitment to protecting our American way of life through service. As Americans and Missourians, we are grateful to families like the Wallaces who endure the loss of someone so loved and cherished. We are humbled by Sergeant Wallace's meritorious service and his sacrifice. In dedicating exit 175 on Interstate 55 as the Sergeant Brandon L. Wallace interchange, we recognize Sergeant Wallace's love of the United States of America and his strong faith in fighting for the values of our nation. Sincere regards, Roy Blunt. Thank you.
Missouri State Senator, the Honorable Ryan McKenna from the 22nd District regrets that he is unable to personally attend the ceremony. However, he has prepared a letter and has asked Ms. Judy Wagner, the MoDOT's area engineer, to read that letter on his behalf.
Excuse any of my emotions. I really feel for you. Dear Robin, I am sorry that I cannot be with you today. It has been my sincere honor to get to know you, Robin. You are such an amazing lady and a strong mother to your family. I was honored to recognize Brandon's legacy in the Missouri Senate in 2010 and share with my colleagues the impact he made on our city. A few years ago, you sent me a card and stated, when a parent has lost a child, their greatest fear is that they will be forgotten. That is certainly not the case with your precious son. I've carried that note with me ever since to remind me of the sacrifice and courage of your son and so many others like him. Brandon's legacy will live on through all of those whom he loved, as well as through every American citizen whom he dedicated his life to protect. Thanks to Brandon, our nation remains strong and will be able to provide a more hopeful future for our children and grandchildren. When I see a flag at half-mast, or watch the news and hear of another fallen soldier, my thoughts always turn to Brandon. My family and I are eternally grateful for your son's ultimate sacrifice for his country, and you will always be in our thoughts and prayers. I am very pleased to see Brandon will be honored by the state of Missouri at the Highway Designated Dedication Program today. I wish I could be there for you and your family, but please know that Brandon will be forever on my mind and in my heart. Sincerely, Ryan.
Our next speaker, representing the 103rd District, is the Honorable Missouri State Representative Ron Casey.
yous to give. I'm a resident of Crystal City. My fine mayor here, Shelley. Our first responders here, the police department. Being a minister's kid, my father always told me to remember the most important beatitude when I got up to speak. Blessed is he that keeps it short, for he shall be invited back. I'm certainly honored to be here this afternoon and to pay my respect to Sergeant Wallace. I didn't make any notes, and I did that on purpose, but I did spend a lot of time thinking about what I was going to say. Judy said I should keep it under 30 minutes, so Ms. Wagner, who I work with often, in my job of having the blessed opportunity, and let me say to the Crystal City administration how thankful I am that many of you students I've met in the halls of our Capitol, and I want to thank the administration of Crystal City for allowing Mr. Reed and your classes to come to the Capitol. What a pleasure it's been of mine to get to share my life with you, and I want to do a little of that right now. You know, I could honestly cry. 2 months ago, I was in the country of Turkey on a tour of the country. Got to meet the parliament leaders, the Syrians that are leaving Syria, and it's not all that far away. You leave Jefferson JFK Airport in New York, and you arrive in Istanbul about 10.5 hours later, 10.5 hours. So what I'm saying is, you sit on a map and it looks like a long ways off. It's not a long ways off. And I want to thank the men and women that so diligently serve. I've been to the Middle East 4 times. I've been up on the Golan Heights, up on the Israeli, Lebanese, Syrian border, seen the United Nations troops, the troops that America has in that region, also intelligence troops. Last year, I went up on the border, the most heavily guarded border in the world, between North and South Korea. And I went on the USO tour of the border up to Panmunjom, where to communicate with family that's been divided. They use helium-filled balloons to try to reach a grandmother, a father, a mother, because the families have been split since the armistice. I've been to North Korea. When you go into the United Nations building, they used to have a line in the middle of the building, and it's not much of a building, to be honest about it. But they used to have a line, and they took the line out of the middle, the line's on the outside. They let us go over into North Korea by about 4 steps. You just don't go past the North Korean guard that stands there. And I am just so thankful to the men and women. Every day I go in my job, I honestly want to make my mother and father proud, because they passed away when I was young, and I thought they were old, and I've outlived them both as far as the number of years. But I always want to make my mother and father proud. And I will tell you, Rick and Robin, your son was wanting to make you proud. And I can't say enough kind, grateful words. When you feel the tension on the borders between these rivaling powers, and I've been to Whiteman Air Force Base and sat up into the B-2 bombers that look like a bat. And the strength of our nation comes from the love of our country. And if we don't have men and women that are serving at this very hour around the world to protect the freedoms that we enjoy, we will not have those freedoms long. Men and women that, Brandon was going to come home in 2 weeks, and is my memory correct? Before, when he was killed. he took our bullet, to be honest with you, because I love this country. And if we do not love this country as much as the men and women who have served faithfully to defend our freedoms, then we will no longer be a free nation. It's really that pretty. Because there's people that want our hide. I just want to tell the young people here today that when you see a serviceman, a servicewoman, thank them for their service.
Yes.
And many of you have parents, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas. And you know, I'm not sure, I live here in Crystal, but I graduated from Festus. And I don't think that I really appreciated what we have at that age. And I just tell you that. But I will tell you, I remember the day when we got under our school desk in the tuck and duck drills. Many of the older of us can remember that. When we put and I was going to build a house made out of school desks. Because you were protected under school desks with your hands over your head. Our stability as a nation is dependent upon the men and women that serve our country so faithfully, that are willing to give their life, the ultimate sacrifice. This being, we ought to do it every day of the world, but with this being Veterans Day coming up, if you have family, or you see a man or woman in a service uniform, thank them for their service. Because if we don't, and we forget, we will no longer be a free nation. And buddy, we're going to be in a world of hurt. And you think, well, you know, you're talking like that, and that's, man, you ought to go up there and feel the tension between these powers that are trying to hold on to their own. And after 9/11, them coming into our country and doing what they did to us, don't think that's the last time. I'm just telling you, don't think it's the last time. Because it will happen again. Please, 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 remember and be thankful to those that serve. Sergeant Wallace and the others that have cried their eyes out. Parents who have given the loss. No, not able to hold their grandchild because of the sacrifices they've made. Not able to take them to the zoo. Not able to do the fun stuff that a grandparent would want to do with their grandchildren. Has been taken away to protect my freedom and your freedom. God bless you and God bless America. God bless the Wallace family. Richard Roberts.
Thank you, Representative, for those comments. Our next speaker is the Mayor of Crystal City, the Honorable Thomas Shilley.
Please forgive my voice. I feel great. I was under the weather there for a while, but I know I don't sound too well. But as one veteran to another veteran, and all the veterans throughout the country, I would not miss this opportunity. Right. It's an honor to be here. Isn't it great to be an American where we have the right to celebrate the life of a young man who gave his all so we can remain free. Right. Thank you, Sergeant Brandon Wallace. When the statue was erected here at the school under the flagpole, I was very proud that our youth would be reminded of what sacrifice Brandon had made for us. And now, more will be aware of this. and I hope it continues for many years to come to show honor to Brandon's life, and that they will honor him as they drive by these signs that's going to be presented. Whether you say a small prayer, smile, or salute, I know Brandon will be aware of each one. I would also like to have each of you to honor Brandon's mother and father, because each of us have not forgotten Brandon, but I can't imagine of having to go through what they've had to go through. Brandon, I know you're watching over us now, and I hope this somehow shows the gratitude that we have for you and your family and what you've given to us, which was the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Our final speaker today is Crystal City Police Officer and friend of Sergeant Wallace, Officer Jeff Wynn.
Good afternoon. As he stated, my name is Jeff Wynn. Brandon Wallace was my best friend, and his mother, Robin Wallace, has asked me to speak today. Even though public speaking is something I absolutely dread, I did not hesitate to do it, merely because she asked.
Right.
So please bear with me. It might be a little tough. On April 14, 2007, my family and I were traveling from New Jersey back home to Missouri when I received a phone call from my father. When I answered, he asked me if I was driving, which I was. He told me to pull over, and I could tell by his voice he was upset, and this was an important phone call. After pulling over, my dad told me that my best friend, Sergeant Brandon Wallace, had been killed by a roadside bomb just outside of Fallujah, Iraq, and I was devastated. Never in my life could I have imagined that the death of my friend would impact me so strongly. Do not get me wrong, I knew we were close. I knew there was a brotherhood and a kind of kindred spirit and a love between us and our other close friends. We all call each other brothers. It was not until this day I realized, though, how blessed I was to have had the 20-plus years I had on this earth with Brandon. And I had been taking that time for granted. And we were at a roadside park, and we'd stopped there for about a half an hour. My wife was consoling me when my 6-year-old son, through tears of his own, said something that brought me back to a reality. It was something that had been instilled in me since childhood. He said, "It's okay, Daddy. You'll get to see him again in heaven."
That's right.
I don't know how many of you know, but out of the mouth of babes is the truth. And he was right. My child, the 6-year-old child, felt that he needed to say something to his dad to uplift his spirit, and his words instantly made me start remembering all the good times I'd had with Brandon throughout my life. During the drive home, I began to replay in my mind every childhood memory I had with Brandon. And still to this day, these memories play over and over in my head, leaving me filled with so much joy, comfort, and peace. These memories and reflections are what I will draw on in order to attempt to paint a picture of the man Brandon Wallace was to me and to those who had the privilege of knowing him. Out of 20-plus years worth of memories I have had in my head, there are very few that do not involve laughter. Brandon had the most extreme zeal for life. His love of life was unmatched by any other. Regardless of the type of situation Brandon was in, he always had a way of making those around him feel better about themselves. Though he tried not to show it, Brandon got embarrassed easily. But now if making you laugh meant embarrassing himself by making a total fool of himself, he would do it without thinking twice. You see, he didn't know how to do anything half-heartedly. He only gave 100% to everything he did, whether that was bringing laughter to a situation, making music, being a soldier, becoming a police officer, being a friend, a son, or a brother. He would put every ounce of effort he had into whatever he was doing. Now, we do have some teachers here who might remember Brandon while he was in class, so the exception to this might be his homework. He never did like doing that. But Brandon was a lover of the pure sense. He loved unconditionally. He was a giver and a servant at heart. If you ever saw someone in need, he helped them in some form or fashion. Now, he was a human being. He was not perfect. But if he had done something wrong or believed he hurt someone in some way, he did everything in his power to correct the situation. He would make amends. What set him apart from a lot of others was that he would actually learn from those mistakes and better himself for it. Brandon grew up, for the most part, here in the Festus Crystal City area. He was a 1998 graduate of Crystal City High School, where he served as class president his freshman and senior years. He then joined the Army, where he served his country for 3 years of active duty in Germany and Kosovo. He got out of the military, and considering his love for God and people and his will to serve, he went to Bible college in Ohio. After that, he began doing a ride-along program with me at the Crystal City Police Department, which caused him to decide to go to the police academy. Brandon wanted to serve his community he loved, the community he grew up in. While in the academy, Brandon was reactivated in the Army. He received special permission to complete this academy training, and he graduated from the academy in December of 2005. He left the following month for the Army in January, before leaving for Iraq. There are hundreds of stories I could stand here and tell you, but one stands out to me and reflects the kind of person Brandon Wallace is. While serving in Iraq, Brandon had the opportunity to interact with the local populations. I remember him being upset, almost angry at the poverty level several of these individuals were subjected to. He especially disliked seeing children walking around without shoes. Brandon would purchase as much candy as he could carry on his person, and as he walked around the towns, he would pass out the candy to the children he came across. One day, while doing just this, he observed a young girl without shoes, limping. He noticed her foot to be injured. He retrieved a first aid kit, cleansed the child's foot, and bandaged it before moving on. This is the heart of Brandon Wallace. It is acts like this that embody the man I knew and loved. In a time of war, while in a combat zone, his love and respect for others outweighed the frustrations that come with war. Sometimes during war, a soldier can obtain a persona of us against them, and this includes the civilian population. But that mindset completely diminishes the true purpose of the military being there in the first place. Brandon had the heart and mindset to do what was right and try to make a difference in a stranger's life, and he did so. Brandon was part of a 16-man convoy security team. Basically, this team protected convoys to and from separate locations throughout Iraq. During one of the night missions, Brandon was in the tail truck, which is the last truck in the convoy. He was a 50 cal gunner manning the turret on a Humvee when the front and middle of the convoy came under fire. It was reported that the convoy was taking heavy fire and they were pinned down. Brandon ordered the driver of the truck to a specified location, firing and taking out the threat before any persons of the convoy were hurt. And for his actions during this mission, Brandon received the Bronze Star for saving the lives of the other soldiers and civilians in the convoy. Now, many say his service in the military and the ultimate sacrifice he made is the reason Brandon Wallace is a hero. Now, if he was here, he would tell you this did not make him a hero, but a soldier. See, death does not define a man, but the life in which he leads will forever define him.
That's right.
What is a hero? A hero is defined as one, a man of distinguished courage or ability, admired for his brave deeds and noble qualities. Number two, a person who, in the opinion of others, has heroic qualities or has performed a heroic act and is regarded as a model or ideal. If this does not define Brandon Wallace, I do not know what does. He is a person, in my opinion, that had heroic qualities. He performed a heroic act and is regarded as a model or ideal for others. Could you imagine what this world, much less this country, no, let's narrow this even more. And could you imagine what this community would be like if everyone in it would strive for selflessness? Strive to help others in need. Strive to place others' wants and needs before themselves. Strive to do what is right. Strive to take responsibility for their own actions, righting the wrongs they have committed and learning from them. And striving to show love to everyone. And strive to spread joy instead of sorrow. If we had an entire community of Brandon Wallaces, I guess I wouldn't miss him quite so much. The fact is that these qualities are what separated him from most. It is this that made him a hero. Brandon Wallace is not a hero for the way he died. But he is a hero for one reason. And that reason is the way he lived. We unfortunately seem to be living in an era full of me, I, and mine, instead of an era full of we, us, and ours. I'm sure there are people here today who are not happy with the life in which they are currently living, and to you I say this. Make a positive change or impact in someone else's life, and see how much better you will feel about your life afterward. Doing the right thing is not always the easiest or the most popular thing to do. In fact, it is usually harder. Separate yourself from the norm, do right by yourself, do right towards others, and start looking at the world as we live in as ours.
That's right.
Realizing that each and every one of us plays a part in how this world will turn out for the generations to come. I would like to challenge everyone here today, adults and kids alike. I challenge each of you to find a way to perform a selfless act, making a positive impact on the life of at least one person each day. Whether it is providing a helping hand or something as simple as giving a compliment that that person may not have been expecting. And we have a memorial bench up at the Crystal City Park. We're going to have signs posted out here on the highway. A memorial to Brandon. To you students, you have a memorial right outside your school in the name of Brandon Wallace. And it is my hope that after today, every person attending today who either drives past the memorial, sits on the bench, or walks past the Soldiers' Memorial outside does not look at it as, oh, that's for Brandon Wallace, that guy who died in Iraq. I want you to see it and remember Brandon Wallace is someone to model myself after. That is a hero who selflessly lived his life as a giver and servant. That is a man who put others before himself, and today, I will find a place and time to do the same. I stand before you today and I tell you I am personally determined to do this myself. And model myself after the life of Brandon, and I hope you will also. This community, this country, and this world will be a better place for it. So on behalf of the Wallace family, I would like to sincerely thank everyone who had a hand and bringing the Heroes Way Memorial to fruition. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The outpouring of patriotism towards Brandon over the last 5 years has been unbelievable and extremely humbling. Knowing that there is now one more way for Brandon's memory to continue is an awesome feeling. I would also like to thank everyone for coming and showing your support today for Brandon and his family. And once again, as it's already been said several times today, please, everyone remember Monday is Veterans Day. And if you know someone who is serving or who has served in the United States Armed Forces, call them or go see them and tell them thank you. They have all made sacrifices so that you and I can enjoy our God-given freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our speakers today. You took the time out of your schedules to be here. Thank you to the Crystal City School for allowing us to use this outstanding venue to have this ceremony in. And thank you to the Wallace family for allowing us to be a part of the ceremony. What we'll do now is we're going to take a minute and we'll retire the colors, and then afterwards we will ask the family and friends of Sergeant Wallace to come up and unveil the sign, and then we'll have an opportunity to take all the pictures and everything that you want, and then we'll get that thing up on the highway. So if you all would please rise for the retirement of the colors. Sergeant at Arms, retire the colors.
Ready? Go. Right face. Prepare to retrieve the colors. Move. Right face. At half step. Forward. March.
If you would, please be seated. And now, Ms. Wallace, I'd like to invite you and family and friends, please come up on the stage and unveil the sign.